Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
All right.
What are you guys selling here?
We're not,
We're not
selling,
selling.
anything. Everything is free.
It's Bible
All the
education,
literature is
literature.
free. You're welcome to take anything you'd like.
Families, teenagers.
Is this a kiosk here?
Well, no, not a
Kind of
kiosk,
like a table
but it's
that
just a
they
table
let us
setup
set up.
that they let us set up here.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
So you guys are always here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Exactly.
There's a 4-hour shift in the morning and a 4-hour shift in the
There's shifts?
Yeah.
Right.
How long do you guys do this? How you spend 4 hours here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A couple of
Start at
times a
3
month,
and
and then
our shift is 3 to 7.
3 to 7?
3 to 7. So we got.
Got good benefits?
Huh?
Got good benefits?
This is all volunteer.
No, it's all volunteer.
Everything is volunteer.
Right on.
Yeah, just try to encourage Bible reading and Bible discussion. Look towards the Bible.
Good reading.
What does Watchtower mean?
Well, the Watchtower, it really goes back to ancient Bible times, whereby the city of Jerusalem, in order to protect itself from their enemies, they built these tall towers, and they had guards that at night would stand watch and notify if anybody was coming to.
In fact, most fortified walls,
Most
they would
fortified,
have a
yeah.
watch.
Sure, like any ancient city, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And so they would have a watchtower. And so there is a scripture, I think it's in Ezekiel, where God is talking to Ezekiel and says, I'm making you a watchman. You're to call out a warning. And so he was a prophet. And so his goal or his task was to warn people of things coming. And so it was, I'm making you a watchman. And so...
So what's coming?
Well, have you ever heard the terminology, the Great Tribulation?
Or Armageddon.
Or Armageddon?
Armageddon. Sure. What's Great Tribulation?
The Great Tribulation is a time period that leads up to Armageddon. In other words, there's going to be, the Bible calls it a period of time in mankind's history that has been unlike any other, whereby God is going to ultimately do away with all the conditions that we see on
The
earth today, the bad conditions, war, crime, poverty,
And that's going to be in the Great Tribulation?
and that's going to be in the Great Tribulation. Yes.
Why is it called the tribulation then? Isn't tribulation usually mean
Well, it's
something
gonna
bad?
be well, for a lot of people, it is
It's
going to be.
bad.
Well,
if
but if all the conditions are going to be improved, why would it be a tribulation?
Because, again, because the wicked, this system of things, all the people that are causing mankind's woes today, for them, it is going to be a tribulation, a bad time.
True.
For-
And
So
people-
great, what does that mean?
People that are in, maybe that are in power or bad people aren't going to go kindly. And so there will be, persecution of those trying to hold on to right standards, trying to do right, trying to live a Christian life. There will be tribulation or persecution against them.
So is the tribulation for the good people or the bad people?
Both.
Well,
I mean, it can be both.
yeah.
So
it
both
can
the
be
good
both.
people and bad people are going to have a great tribulation? And then what happens after that?
Then Jehovah will step in. God will step in, do away with the bad people, and then comes the good part.
So is God the one causing a great tribulation, or does man do that?
Men, but
So men cause a tribulation and then God steps in to end it?
yes.
And that's all in here?
I'll tell you
well,
what
I'll
it is.
tell
There
you-
is a book right there.
Right. If you want to look at there's a book, the little gray book there.
I don't know. It says good news here. That doesn't sound like very good news.
No,
Well, again,
actually, it is.
if we are on the right side of the issue when all of this happens, then it's great news because.
So is that like
Revelation
the judgment day that
Yeah,
is that
because
the
after
judgment?
after all of that happens, then Revelation talks about a time of complete peace and serenity. No more wars, no more crime, no more.
Well, it sounds like it's
poverty,
going to go through some pretty nasty stuff to get to the good stuff.
Right.
Yeah, you do. It will. Here.
So
if-
when's that supposed to happen?
Well, no man knows the day or the hour,
That's
the
what
Bible
Jesus
says.
said.
But there are signs that we're getting close
Matthew
to that.
24, if you've read that, where he tells his disciples what
They
to,
ask him
what to
what
expect.
to expect
The
towards the
earthquakes,
end.
the
Wars and
natural
wonders.
phenomenon, wars, pestilences, diseases, the rise of diseases.
Haven't we gone through periods of worse disease than we have today, or worse earthquakes than we have today?
Not people think that, but globally, this is unlike any time in human history in terms of
In terms
wars.
of
Yeah, more people have died in this last century than all the centuries before from
well,
wars.
there's a lot more people on the earth, though.
It's true, but there's also more conflict. It used to be, it was like this little country against this little country, and now it's the whole world. Ever since 1914,
World War One.
What happened in 1914?
World War One. That was the first time the entire world was in.
Or the majority of the world
Yeah,
became
majority.
involved in
Involved
that
in-
large
So was that the Great
conflict.
Tribulation?
No,
No.
it was just the start of, a lot of the suffering that we see
Right.
in the
But we're
earth.
doing better now than we were in 1914, though.
In some
You
situations,
might be,
yeah.
but
Right here we
Worldwide,
may be, but
globally,
worldwide, no.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Absolutely not.
I'm curious though, because
Are you?
my grandfather came to this country in like 1912, and I'd say in every measurable way, my life is better than the life my grandfather had.
Your life
Sure.
is. Sure.
But
Sure.
if you
But-
look worldwide, there are, and even you don't have to go out of this country. I mean, there's some wacko people in this world, and there's some serious stuff going on. There are people that don't live the lives maybe that you and I do. They live in fear. They live in, infestation.
So there's-
even in this country.
But you don't think that there's more people in the past that have had bad conditions than today?
No, statistically,
Not statistically.
Not statistically, no, sir. No. I think even in this little book we're going to give you, it talks about progressively how many people have died in wars, how many people have died due to illnesses and diseases.
So if I understand you're right, then what was that? Matthew said?
Matthew 24.
Matthew
was-
24?
Chapter 24 is where he describes the last days.
He being
The
Jesus?
end, Jesus. He talks about the end of this system. How will
So
we
Matthew
know?
24 was talking about now?
This
Yes.
time period we're in now.
Because of earthquakes and wars and stuff?
And all of that.
yeah.
He
So
was
we'll-
just telling them things to look for. Because he had been talking about, these are the things you're going to see. And they came to him and said, when is this going to be? When is
They-
the end of this?
they who?
His
His
apostles.
disciples and his apostles.
So then they never saw what he was talking about then?
They didn't understand what
They
he was
didn't
talking about.
understand.
So he was talking about something that was going to happen 2,000 years after they were gone?
He was talking about something that would happen in their lifetime and then again later
So earthquakes and
Because-
wars and pestilence happened
Yeah.
when Jesus was alive too?
in the
right.
city of Jerusalem at that time. But there would be a greater fulfillment of that because the other apostles in their later writing after that time wrote about it again.
Wrote
And
about
so like Paul wrote
The
about
last-
the
the
last days in
days.
2
Right.
Timothy 3:1-5.
So was he talking about the last days for them or the last days of
us.
everything?
for this system, period.
Of this system of things leading up to the Great Tribulation. And
Are you a
Armageddon.
Bible reader?
Sure.
Okay.
So, I'm just trying to understand though, 1900 years, 2,000 years, that is a pretty long span of time.
And there's a reason. If you want to read that, there is a reason that things have gone on. There is a chapter in there talks about why has suffering been permitted? Why has God allowed suffering? He has the power, obviously, to stop everything. He did 2,000 years ago, but there's a reason why he didn't.
He had the power to stop it 2,000 years ago, but he didn't?
Yeah, God has had the power to. He could have stopped. He could have stopped it after Adam and Eve if he'd have wanted to.
So he knew that all these wars and everything were going to happen anyway?
Who? Jehovah God?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
So he knew it was going to happen and he let it happen anyway?
For it, yeah, but there is a reason why.
What would the reason be for that?
Because, in a nutshell, the issue of sovereignty, of God's right to rule, was challenged in the garden with Adam and Eve.
You think that was literal?
Excuse me?
You think Adam and Eve was literal?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So then, how did they challenge sovereignty?
When they
God.
disobeyed
No,
God's command.
He gave them a command. You can eat all of this, but you can't eat this. This is my tree. It was the tree of knowledge of good and bad. And he had told them not to eat it.
Right.
And they did. So they disobeyed him. They challenged him. They
By
wanted
listening
to be
the serpent or Satan, the devil who appeared as
So the snake
serpent.
wasn't just an allegory for the devil; it was literally
I
Satan.
believe it was literally
No,
Satan.
the Bible talks about.
Yeah.
The
But I mean, I
Bible-
believe he literally used a snake and caused it to speak.
So then, if that's literal, then if Adam and Eve bit into a piece of fruit, the eternity of mankind's existence has been racked with this, what's in
All
these
of
pictures
this.
here, because of biting into a piece of fruit.
Yep.
one act
And that's
of
not just an
disobedience.
allegory, you don't think?
No, if you look at Romans, if you're a Bible reader, Romans chapter 5:23 and 5:12 says that through this one act of disobedience, one man, through one act of one man, talking about Adam, sinned, and thus death and sin spread to all men because of that.
Well, we
act
all
of
didn't eat,
disobedience.
but we all didn't eat, though.
No, but we were
offspring.
offspring of them, progeny of theirs. If you are if you become an imperfect person because you've sinned, you're no longer perfect, then you cannot have a perfect child. You cannot produce a perfect child. You would have to produce an imperfect child.
So them eating that piece of fruit was a death sentence?
Right,
Yes, sir.
and it sounds like a simple thing, but it was an act of defiance. If
Well,
you
yeah,
have
but I
a-
mean, I'm just, this is talk as people, though. I mean, if my grandfather did something,
But your
I mean-
grandfather was imperfect. Adam and Eve were perfect.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, why it doesn't necessarily sound just for the eternal to hold us responsible for something that was done,
Well,
if it was even literally done.
If we
It happens
were
every
held,
day.
yeah, I was going
It
to
happens
say.
every day. If he goes and robs a bank and gets arrested, I'm going to have to pay for that too. I'm suddenly
my
on my
children?
own. His children. I mean, what we do affects
other people constantly.
Is that why our insurance premiums go up?
Excuse me?
That's why our insurance premiums go up? You get in an accident, we all have to pay, right?
Well,
Absolutely.
that's another good
I mean,
example of it.
Yeah, we
So what's being watched for then? That Watchtower
The-
title.
the end.
The warning,
The warning,
that
to
we
sound the
are
warning.
preaching and teaching work, the warning of the coming Great Tribulation and Armageddon. But the comfort,
That doesn't really sound like good news, though.
well, but
Because
but
the
let me finish.
outcome
Because the outcome for those who are on the right side of the issue, when all of that happens, will be perfection, no more sin, no more dying, no death, no
So are we going to be offered a piece of fruit in the future?
Possibly.
We don't
And then
know.
it'll
I
be
mean,
up to you to decide what you want to do.
So there could be a literal other tree that we have to stay away from in order
Could
to
very
show
well
whose
be.
side we're on?
There will be
There
rules.
may or may not.
There will be rules, and we'll be expected to obey. We live in a country that expects us to obey.
So would there be like a tree like in every country or something? Or
Don't know.
What's your name? I'm just curious.
Curtis?
All right,
Curtis.
I'm Bill.
Hi.
Bill?
Yeah.
Hi. What's your name?
Linda.
Linda. Hi.
Hi. What we tell people is we don't really try to speculate on those kinds of things. The Bible talks about new scrolls and Revelation being open that will determine all of that. We don't
So
know
those
what's in
scrolls are
those
what?
scrolls.
A second
There'll be new
Bible?
rules.
Yeah, yeah,
New
could be
rules?
rules, or, yeah, or but-
Information.
But what we tell
So what we have now is incomplete, or that's going to be perfect, or what?
No, what we have right now is what we need right now. And so when we get into this new system, it'll be something that we're not used to.
So
We're
what?
used to-
That's what's on the other side of the Armageddon.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And
If
so
you
we tell people our challenge is to get there. We know that Jehovah God, because of his promises in the Bible, or because of all the things scripturally that are promised in the very beginning of that little book, we know it's going to be a completely different, better way of living. Now, the challenge is for us to do all we can by obeying and living our lives in harmony with God's standards and requirements today to get us there.
So let me ask you a question. What if what if there's another 1900 years to go before that comes? I mean, the apostles that Jesus was talking to, I mean, if you said that, if the answer for them was meaning, within their lifetime, what if it's not another 1900 years from where we are today? What if things are going to get exponentially worse 100 years from now?
Well, because the sign of the end of the times, of the last days, are present right now. The composite sign of what Jesus said in chapter Matthew 24, what to look for, that coupled with later writings of the apostles, in particular, was 2 Timothy 3:1-5, where it says, in the last days, people will be
Like this.
like we see people today.
So if there was somebody, let's say like in the year 500 or in the year 989, was saying the same thing about the time that they lived in because things were getting worse, I mean, they were way off too, right?
No,
Well, here's the thing. Even if it were going to be another 2,000 years, it's still coming. And so my job is to be as faithful as I possibly can to either that point in time or till I die.
Till death, right.
And so that's my job is to try and live as close to, Peter 2:21, 1 Peter 2:21 talks about Jesus left us a model to follow his footsteps closely, regardless of how long, because I could go get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Oh, hope not.
I know. I hope not.
Knock on wood.
But so then
But it is conceivable
But
that
then
any
my
of
fight
us-
is over.
Sure.
And so all I have to do is sleep in death until, the end of this system.
And then what
that
happens?
Big resurrection. The resurrection. And
So who gets resurrected? Everybody?
those that
the
God
majority
wants
of,
to resurrect.
The majority of people who are in God's memory get resurrected. Yeah.
So that goes back what? How far back does that go?
Forever.
Well, to the beginning of
Man.
mankind.
So how many people do you think there have been since the beginning of mankind?
How do we know that? We don't know.
We really don't.
That-
There
it
have
says-
been many.
So
many
what's it going to be, like 1,000,000 years for that resurrection? That's going to take a heck of a long time, isn't it?
We don't know. God has the power to do it all in a day if he wants.
So, well, let's just put some numbers to it. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
No,
20 million?
I read.
Well, I'm just thinking,
somewhere
I mean,
where
if
they
the- if-
estimated about how many people,
Yeah.
and the Earth.
But
would hold-
whatever the number is, though, I mean,
Okay.
all those people just can't come back from the dead tomorrow. I mean, how do we feed them? Where do we put them?
We're saying
We can't put the
probably
people
not.
who there's not enough space for the people here today.
But we see what we're doing. We're thinking about this system of things that we're in now.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, things are going to be completely different. God could miraculously, if he wants to, and here's where we don't really speculate because we really don't know, but he could miraculously make conditions if he wanted to, whereby millions of people at one time could be resurrected. We don't know. The Bible doesn't address that.
So where they come back, like where they died, or
We don't know.
We don't
the Bible
know.
doesn't say. All it says is that
that's a
we'll be
pretty big
resurrected.
question mark, though, isn't it? I
Well,
mean, if you think of
yeah.
everybody who's ever lived coming back, they can't all come back at the same time.
They probably won't. But I was just
Probably won't.
addressing
So that they
God's
could be
power
helped.
to do that.
Oh,
he,
sure,
If he
sure,
wanted to.
sure.
But again,
The-
we're
I was going to say the crux of it, if you stop and think, if Adam and Eve had not sinned, where would they be?
I guess they'd be here. Well,
be here.
not in Virginia, but
I don't know.
Wherever.
Yeah.
But
Still
they
in the
would
Garden of
be
Eden, possibly.
still alive,
yeah.
healthy. There would be
Would
none
we
of
be
this.
here if they didn't?
See, that's it. If they had not sinned, there wouldn't be any of this. It would be the paradise all over the earth like God had originally intended. So that was God's purpose for Adam and Eve. Now they detoured that when they messed that up. But that's still God's purpose. And so we talk about the end.
So isn't that? I mean, that sounds a lot like heaven, though.
On
It'll
earth.
be heaven on earth.
Heaven on earth.
Yeah.
So there's no heaven.
There
yes,
is heaven.
Yes, there is heaven. Of course there is.
Yeah.
So we don't go to heaven.
Not everybody.
Not everybody goes to heaven.
Who goes to heaven then?
Select
Select
few
ones that have been selected.
right. And it's all in that book. I mean, we're covering.
Really is. Covering
we
a whole
say
lot
from
of stuff.
A to Z, Genesis to Revelation. But it's all. But
Yeah, I guess so, huh?
It's all
Yeah, we kind of
explained
did. Yeah.
Huh.
in the book and scripturally. And here's what we tell people:
Use your Bible.
use the Bible.
Yeah, but I mean, the Bible. I don't know. It seems like the Bible's pretty clear about heaven.
There is heaven, yeah, and there will be people in it.
Yeah.
But it also talks about people who will reside on the earth forever. In Psalms 37:29.
So are you?
You know,
Is
the
it
meek
is it
shall
like
inherit
better people go to heaven, or people from the past go to heaven?
So that's
Well,
ones that God chooses.
Are you guys going to heaven?
I don't want to go to heaven.
You don't want to go to heaven? No.
I'm looking forward to an
Living here.
earthly paradise.
You stay away from the trees, though.
Yeah.
See how those are going?
I'm going to be, a vegan.
A vegan? Did you already start that now? Well, thanks, guys. Have a good rest of your
You have
shift.
a good day.
All right, we'll see you. Yes.
Okay, you have a good day.
Thanks.
Uh-huh.